cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, welcome everybody to the PWCC Weekly Hockey Auction live coverage. It is Sunday, July the 2nd, 2023. My name is Jeremy Lee. I would like to thank all of our YouTube subscribers, podcast listeners. If you are not yet subscribed, please take a moment and do so. And also, even though he's not here tonight, Hockey Cards Gongshow, make sure you are following them on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, and everywhere else. We are going to bring out tonight's special co-host, Seth Allison at Drop the Puck Cards. Welcome for the first time for you to the PWCC Weekly Hockey Auction. How are you? How are you feeling tonight, buddy?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show. And it's great to be here.
Awesome. Well, good to have you. Thank you for filling in. Josh Madigan is taking the weekend off because it is, of course, 4th of July weekend in the United States. So happy 4th of July to all of our American friends. And, of course, a belated happy Canada Day to all the Canadians out there. Tonight in the PWCC Weekly Hockey Auction, there are 197 hockey cards, down from, I believe, 312 last week. But last week, Josh and I think we highlighted 41 cards. This week, we have a bit of a stronger ratio. We're at 38 cards that Seth and I are going to be looking at, and I did task Seth with some homework, so he's got some data for us along the way that we'll be looking at on some of the cards. But let's get into it in a moment. We got Alex here, Joe Sakic 19. I'm curious. 19 was his jersey number. What's the XX, Alex? Why Joe Sakic 19XX? I'm curious. I've never asked you that before. Scott Pope, welcome to the show. Thank you guys for being here and letting us know that you are here. Actually, before we look at cards, Seth, I'm going to ask you. I mean, you had a chance to look through the items in the auction, and what were your general thoughts? Did you like what you saw? Was there any cards that really stuck out to you? Just kind of your opening thoughts on this week's Hockey Cards auction on PWCC.
Yeah, I think there was a really, as always, I normally take a look through their auctions, and as always, there's a good selection of from vintage to newer modern cards. And the card that really stuck out to me, being a Panini hockey card collector, a lot of those cards find their way into my collection, was the Ovechkin Prism autograph silver out of 20. So that one really intrigued me.
Right on. We'll definitely be taking a look at that. And all right, well, let's start looking at these cards. Extended bidding is about 25 minutes away, but it's all access, so you can get your bids in at any time. And I'm actually also going to there's a link. I'm going to put that in the chat so that you can click on it. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, you will be able to click on it, and it will take you directly to the PWCC listing. So here we go. I'm going to throw that into the chat right now. And there it is. It just hit Facebook. It's hit YouTube. So if you're watching, you can click on that, guys, and that'll take you directly to the 197 hockey cards that are up for auction this week. But let's start looking at the top three. And right out of the gate, Seth, we have two Bobby Hull 1958 Topps rookie cards. And I have to say, I love this card. I love the 58. This was the first big card I'd ever bought in my life. You know, I've been collecting for 43 years now. And in 1988 or 89, probably 1989, I was working in a video store, Seth, where we used to rent out VHS tapes, okay, which are now collectible anyway. And I saved up my money and I went to Joe Daly Sports Cards and I bought a 58 Topps raw Bobby Hull rookie card from him. I had it graded myself later in 2008, and it came back as a PSA 5. I have since moved that copy and I own a PSA 6 in my collection now. But let's take a look at these two, because we have a BVG 5.5 and we have an SGC 6. And I want to look at these and just take you guys through them a little bit. Just really give you a couple of my observations on them. I am familiar with this card. I've inspected several in my hobby life. So top edge looks really nice. Top corners look really nice for the grade. This is a BVG 5.5. Little edge issue right there. Nothing too serious though. As we come down, you can see that the centering side to side isn't perfect, but this is really strong for this card. It is really tough to find a 58 Bobby Hull rookie that is extremely well centered. So this is actually very strong centering for this card, believe it or not. But there are a few surface issues that really jump out at me. Right here, you've got this white spot. So, it's going to happen. And again, it's a 5.5. This right on his neck, this dot right there, I've never seen that there before. So that's something to consider. And then you've got a bit of a print defect right here, where it looks like some of the ink just kind of came down onto his shoulder there. And I've seen this before on other copies of the card. So this isn't a one-off. It's happened on several copies. And then there just seems to be some general light sort of surface where you can see some sort of snow throughout his jersey here. Bottom right corner, what you'd expect for a 5.5. Same with the left. Edges are really nice. Overall, I'm okay with this copy. I think it presents nicely for a 5.5. The centering is strong for the grade. Seth, before you jump in, let's take a look now at the SGC 6. Let's compare and contrast. So again, you've got the same print defect, and this is not on every card. I can guarantee that. So it's interesting that both copies have that same print defect right there. We are missing, or which is a good thing, not nearly as much surface issue on this card, I would say, or more serious surface issues. Centering extremely strong on this card. Side to side looks almost perfect. Top to bottom, a little bit of a narrower border here at the bottom, but it's a great copy. It's a really nice copy, actually. I'm quite impressed. Top edge looks great. Top corners look great. Left edge, right edge look good. Bottom right edge might be an issue that kept it from grading, maybe even a half a point higher. But a really nice copy right there. Two nice copies. I certainly prefer the SGC 6. If I was buying either, I would, and I can actually see this selling for a premium. And I don't know, but did PWCC give this an eye appeal designation? I don't know that they would have seen enough SGC 6 Bobby Hull rookies over the years, but if they have, and we're gonna find out in a moment as I go back to the main screen. I really don't know right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because this is a very, very nice copy. They did above average, so I certainly do agree with that, and would endorse that eye appeal designation here and top 30%. I wouldn't have given it the stronger. I wouldn't have given the E or the S, because it does have this surface defect here, but the centering and the overall surface look really nice on this copy. I'm going to go over to you, Seth. Because we had two here. I went pretty in depth there. Before we talk about the 59 tops Gordie Howe, what are your thoughts on these two Bobby Hull rookie cards?
I love the look of them. Honestly, like you said before, they look really good. Especially the centering. Like some of them that I was looking up, I was doing some research, and those were some of the strongest centering cards that I saw. So just to give you a couple of points here, one sold on an offer of $4,250 US, and that was a PSA 5. I couldn't find any recent SGC sales. So a PSA 5, which is pretty comparable to the 6 or the 5.5. And that was on June 4th, so not too long ago. And then a couple days ago, one sold for PSA 5 again, sold for $4,550 US dollars.
Yeah.
So that was on June 28th. So
well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for those recent sales figures, those data points. And you mentioned that, an SGC 6 would be comparable to a PSA 5. I think generally speaking, the market might price those that way. However, in this case, this SGC 6 is far superior, I would think, to most PSA 5s and most PSA 6s. This is a very strong copy, and my hope tonight, because I really do love this copy, my hope is that the fact that it's in an SGC holder and not in a PSA holder doesn't hurt it from the market's perspective. It might, because the market seems to really favor PSA for vintage, even though SGC has been around a long time as well. So we'll see. In my opinion, this should sell for a premium over, and a big premium over the most recent PSA 5s, because as you mentioned just now, and you looked at them, I haven't, the centering on this card could sell for double or even triple let me put it to you this way. If this was in a PSA 6 holder with this centering, I could see this card selling for 50% more than the regular PSA 6, maybe even more, because the hobby is leaning towards eye appeal. Centering is a huge part of it. This is a I don't know if you listen to the chats, anyone listening, I really like this card. I think this is a special Bobby Hull rookie. The more I look at it and think about it, that centering, you just don't see that centering. So anyway, we'll let the bidders and the buyers and the market decide tonight. And I'm very curious to see what this card ends up selling for. But knowing that 2 PSA 5s have recently sold in around the 4,200 US mark, this card, I wouldn't be surprised to see sell for, 50 to 100% more than that. But the slab might hold it back. And that's just sort of unfortunate. All right. We have a 59 Topps Gordie Howe in a PSA 6 EX to mint holder. I like to bring these to everybody's attention, especially like the Gordie Howes, the Bobby Orrs, the cards of players who are collected more heavily and have a lot of people doing the player run. So this copy, you know what? Listen, there weren't a lot to choose from this week in terms of this kind of stuff. So I bring this one up. The centering is obviously off, and the grade it's mid-grade, but it is from 1959. It's an early card of Gordie Howe, relatively speaking, and it's gonna fit in somebody's collection. So if you're looking for a Gordie Howe, a 59 Gordie Howe, and you want to spend accordingly, this is gonna, this isn't a super strong 6. If it was better centered, it would be. But I think this isn't a bad copy for someone who this fits their standards. What do you think, Seth, about this one?
Yeah, I think it's a great card, especially for collectors that, just depending on their budget, might be not able to get a rookie card or even a second-year card, and they can get a mid-grade, nice-looking card for, I think it'll be a pretty reasonable price. But just even to have that into your collection as a Gordie Howe collector or a Detroit collector, it's a great card to have.
Yeah, no, I think that's I think you're bang on there. We got Name in the house. What's going on? Good to see you, Name. Thank you for being here. Mike, Double V Cards. Good to see you. Larry's Classic tells it like it is. The market buys holders. Someone recently told me that you could sell empty PSA 10 slabs and people would buy them just because they say 10 on them. So yeah, I think you're right, Larry. But there is a movement, and there is a contingent of people who are not buying holders anymore. So that is on the rise, and I think that's a good thing. It shows that the hobby, the collectors are evolving, becoming more savvy. Okay, next row we have a 61 Topps Bobby Hull. Again, this is a strong PSA 9 mint condition card. Let's take a look at this one. We're going to close these other windows. Centering, it's off left to right, but not bad. Top to bottom, it's off a bit, but still well within PSA 9 centering standards for a mint condition card. Edges and corners look to be sharp as can be. Registration looks good. His face is nice and focused. Color is popping. This is a really nice copy for someone working on the Bobby Hull run. And this card just screams 1961 to me. Next up, Bobby Orr second year card. My favorite Bobby Orr card, by the way. I personally own a PSA 8 copy of this. That is, I feel, strong for the grade. Something you need to know about when it comes to the second year Bobby Orr card, there's often a fisheye right here. Sometimes I think you see it a bit higher up, but notice this. Listen, if fisheyes bother you, then you need to know that this is sitting right here. On my personal copy, I waited for a copy that didn't have a fisheye in this, bottom right quadrant of the card. Edges, it's an 8.5, worth noting. Edges and corners look really good. I mean, that's not a perfect corner, but the top right, but it's well within acceptable to me. And for a PSA 8.5, bottom right corner, same thing. Bottom left, a little bit of fray, but a sharp corner otherwise. Edges look really good. Surface, I think there's just some slight surface where you can kind of see this pink is a little bit, it's got some, the white texture throughout it. You guys can all see that, I think. So that's not perfect, but again, it's not graded higher than 8.5. It's a recently graded card. The centering though is really, really nice. So again, I love this card. I love the pink background. I've owned my copy for, 10 years now at least. And I just love this card. I just love it. And I'm going to bring up a picture of mine so I can just see if mine has that white in the pink background that I was just talking about. And then finally, a 1970 Bobby Orr. This is a PSA 8 OC. So it grades like an 8 outside of the centering, but the centering, PSA, back when they were giving these OC designations, didn't want to penalize the overall grade. It would likely be about a 6 if there was no qualifier here. But listen, you look at this card, it kind of makes you a little dizzy. It's so off center. There is definitely some counterclockwise tilt, a little bit of counterclockwise tilt, not too bad on the tilt, but otherwise corners and edges, that top edge is what you want to see, a nice O-Pee-Chee cut. Top corners look good enough. Left and right edges are good. Bottom edges good. Bottom corners are good. Fisheye right here. That's right on the edge. I don't know, but look at his legs. Josh Madigan, Seth. Josh Madigan likes to last time he called out what are these legs? What happened to the Photoshop or the airbrushing or whatever? They certainly wasn't Photoshop back in 1970, but and his eyes are closed. That's the other thing about the 1970 Bobby Orr. People always wonder, what are these? I always thought they were spotlights, but now I'm realizing, why are there two spotlights way down low? So maybe they aren't spotlights. I don't know. But all right. So with that, Seth, I'm going to turn it over to you to just give your comments on these while I find my copy of the second year Bobby Orr to compare the background.
Yeah. So the Bobby Orr, that second year card was the one I really caught my eye. So I did a bit of digging, and what I could find off of this, the data is coming from 130 Point. Is the last one to sell closest to a PSA 7, or was a PSA 7, sorry. And that was at $1,495. So this is a really strong card. It definitely looks way better than that 7. And I could see this one going for a premium. As long as that little fisheye doesn't really bother you. And for me, I love vintage cards just as they come. If they're a little bit rounded corners, I'm a bit like Josh there. Even the printing errors and bleeding colors, I love it. It just shows the history of it, how it was produced. And yeah, even if it's not perfect, it looks great.
Nice. Yeah, no, thanks for the comments. And I love that approach and I'm the same way. I don't want my vintage to be perfect personally. I know a lot of people do, and that's great. I'm with you on that. So I found my copy of my second year Bobby Orr, and I'm going to show it to you because the color is just a lot stronger on my copy. So I'm going to put it up on the screen, and you can see it looks purple, but it's actually pink. But here, actually what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to make myself the solo shot for a second by hitting that button right there. So if you look at the pink in the background, it's solid. It's solid and strong. There's really, you can see there's no white snow in there as I just kind of zoomed in on a part of it. Comparing that to this one here, where you can see there is all sorts of white. So I don't know if that is a weaker print or if it's surface wear. I just don't know. But be aware that, despite the 8.5 grade, the wonderful centering, there are copies out there with stronger print. Just want you to be aware of that as you're making your purchase and bidding decisions. But overall, again, an amazing card. My favorite Bobby Orr card. I love the second year. I prefer it to his rookie card, Seth, myself. Okay, a couple of comments have come in. Larry goes on to say, BVG holder are the great value of holders. Some cards at big discounts. Yeah, but I hear you, Larry. And I just to add to that, as long as the card is appropriately graded within that BVG holder, that you could have a BVG 5.5 that would cross over to an SGC 3 or a PSA 3, and all of a sudden it's not such good value. So make sure you are assessing the card and not just the grade or the slab when you are thinking you are picking up a BVG holder or card that is a good value. Decoy Cards, good evening to you. Time to gain some knowledge. Am I crazy, or does the 1979 Michel Dion in the auction look a bit like Seth? Well, we'll see. I don't think we have that one selected tonight, so we may have to wait to look at that one till the end. All right, Seth, here's a fun row. We have 3 Gretzky rookies that we're going to look at. You're going to have to sit back for a minute, Seth. Let me get into these as I'm going to analyze each of them. First, let's just close these windows here. Pop open these ones. We've got the Topps PSA 5.5. We've got the Topps PSA 8. And we have the Topps PSA 8.5. So no O-Pee-Chee copies, but I still don't mind the Topps copy. I own a Topps myself. So here we go. PSA 5.5. You can tell, if O-Pee-Chee 5.5s aren't going to be as nice as Topps 5.5s. And that's simply because Topps produced their cards to a much higher quality standard than O-Pee-Chee did back in 1979. And I think 5.5 is the right grade for this. Defects in the card, obviously the printing. Obviously the centering. It's off center, left to right, top to bottom looks almost perfect. Top right corner definitely has an issue, but it's a 5.5. Top left corner looks better, but not perfect. Top edge looks really nice. Couple of fish eyes throughout. Not too serious though. There's one right over there. Not too serious. Coming down, the print quality is great. The registration is almost bang on perfect. Fisheye right there on the border, which does stick out to me. And I outside of the centering, the most obvious flaws, like this bottom right corner, looks like it's got some wear to it. So, but overall, a fine copy at for a 5.5. Moving on, we have a PSA 8 Topps Wayne Gretzky rookie. From a distance, centering much better than the 5.5. Side to side looks really good. Top to bottom looks really good. Let's zoom in. Top left corner shows a touch of white. Same with the top right. Several fish eyes kind of throughout. Registration looks good. Edges look good. Not sure what's going on here. That just might be some reflection. Bottom edge looks good. That white there, kind of typical. Doesn't throw me off, nor does that there. I mean, listen, it maybe is a little bit less than ideal, but not bad. A slight registration issue, just slight. You can see it. You can really see it in the oil drop here, how there's this yellow shadow coming off the orange oil drop, and that's indicative. And you're seeing a little bit of blur right down here on the skate. But listen, this card, I think this card is an 8 all day long, even by today's PSA grading standards. I think it still would be an 8, but I don't know that it's the strongest 8 I've ever seen. And that's mostly these fish eyes and if that is an issue on the edge that we saw, but I don't know that it is. Let's see what this is. Okay, yeah, and I'm glad to see there's no I appeal designation given on this one by PWCC. I would have had to have say I disagree with that, and I'm glad I don't have to say that. But I'm glad they didn't give it on that one. So, but a fine copy. I think that's an average PSA 8 Topps Wayne Gretzky rookie. And then finally, we have the 8.5, more recently graded. And right away, you can tell this is a banger of a copy. Look at this. Centering, it's like perfect. Let's look at the oil drop right off the bat. Yeah, really, really nice oil drop. Registration looks great. Top edge looks great. Top right corner looks great. Top left corner shows a bit of white. That might be what kept it from being a 9. Coming down the left edge, perfect. Bottom left corner looks perfect. Bottom edge, to the extent I can see it, looks perfect. But this ridge in the PSA holder kind of covers up the extreme edge of the bottom. So, but it looks great. Bottom right corner looks almost perfect. You've got this little, it's not a fisheye, but it's almost like a little hair was sitting in there and put a little line through. I think I think this one had it too. Did this copy yeah, this copy has it too. So it's common on the Topps cards right there. Right edge, well, it's perfect. Right, top right corner, great. Yeah, this is a really good copy. I have to think that the only thing that kept this from grading a 9 is this top left corner right here. I can't see anything else. Seth, what do you just saw me go through these 3 Topps Gretzky rookies. You're nodding. What are your thoughts on, and before I turn it over to you, look at the color on this card. I just want to compare it. Yeah, like this one's got good color too. This one's a little bit lighter, but this one is this is a blazer of a copy, I would say. Seth, over to you on these 3 Gretzky rookies.
Yeah, I think it was a fair grade on the 5.5. I didn't look too much into that one, but what really intrigued me was the 8 and the 8.5 and comparing them. I feel like that 8.5 was a very strong copy, a very strong 8.5. I'm not a professional grader, so I'm not going to put any grades on it because that's not my job, and I'm not a professional here. But when I look for cards, I look for cards like that with strong color, and very nice centering on it too, for a Gretzky rookie. So I looked at an 8.5, and one sold on May 29th for $6,900, so $6,900 US dollars. And I see this one being such a strong copy could actually go above that. The one thing is there's such a premium on the O-Pee-Chee 8.5s and 9s. It's not even close. So I just dug out one sale that was on April 4th of this year. This was O-Pee-Chee 8.5 sold for $28,500 US dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you make good comments there for sure. I do think that the Topps copy is a great alternative in high-ish grade. If you can't afford the O-Pee-Chee, never mind an O-Pee-Chee in a PSA 9 holder is $120,000 plus. So a Topps in a PSA 9 holder is about $40,000. This 8.5, I remember, and I knew in the back of my head, but I forgot when I was saying it. When I said that this is a blazer of a copy, well, PWCC agreed and gave it their superior eye appeal rating, top 5%. I'm not going to dispute that. I think that this is an absolute blazer of a copy, to use Chris Sewell, the baseball card collector, investor, dealer's language. And, the 8.5 is sometimes a tougher grade to assign value to as a buyer because you have so many more comps for 8s and 9s than you do 8.5s. So it's like, where between the 8 and the 9 should the 8.5 fall? You might think the middle. I don't know about that. I think it's lower than the middle. I think that difference from 8 to 8.5 is smaller than the difference from 8.5 to 9. Like, you're going to go up this much from 8 to 8.5 and then that much to 9. So maybe it's a third of the way. Maybe it's 25% of the way. I don't know. I'm sure there's data out there that would give us that general rule. But in any event, if this is a card you are considering, I certainly endorse the acquisition of this into a high-end collection. I think it's a great copy. And to be honest, I do own a Topps PSA 9. I would probably be willing to sell my 9, buy this one, feel like I have the same card, and pocket the difference. Pocket this gap up here. So just, that's how I'm thinking right now. All right, let's continue on. Next row, we have a PSA 9 mint condition Steve Yzerman rookie from 1984, one of my favorite cards from the 80s. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a quick look at this one. Close up these Gretzkys. Take a look at the Yzerman. So centering isn't perfect. It's situated a little bit low, a little bit to the right, I'd say. Otherwise, edges look great. Corners look great. Yeah, this is what you want to see. Like even this fuzz down the right-hand side, that's acceptable for O-Pee-Chee cards and for grading standards. Yeah, this is a nice copy. There's some seems to be some light surface wear. You can kind of see something going on right here on his cheek. I think that's surface wear. Scrolling up, maybe a bit of surface wear over here. Slight registration issue. See this gap here, Seth, between this black line and the pink filler? That thin white line through there, ideally, shouldn't be there. Ideally, that should be filled in by this pink color here. You have it over here as well. Yeah, you have it here. You have it here. I look at this with Gretzky rookies too. You have it coming down here. Yeah, I mean, this is graded a 9. I don't love this card. I'd call this a weak 9 personally. I would wait for a better copy to come along if I was the buyer. I personally have, I forget if I have a 9 or a 10 in my collection. I think I might have a 10 now. But in any event, 9s are a great value compared to the 10s because the difference is so small usually. But I don't consider this to be a strong 9. I would either try and buy this at a discount to regular 9s or just wait for another copy. Sorry. And Seth, I went in depth there. I'm going to keep going and let you get your talking points ready. We have a BVG 7.5 Mario Lemieux O-Pee-Chee rookie card. A card now listen, for 7.5, the centering is actually really good on this one. Top to bottom, okay, it's low. It's low on the card, but side to side, the centering is good. Top to bottom, it's not that great actually. Top edge, and where's the weakest grade? Yeah, the weakest is the centering is a 7, edges are an 8, corners and surface are 9. Let's look at corners. They look good. That top edge, I mean, it's super like rough cut, but again, that's okay by O-Pee-Chee collector standards. The left and right edges look really nice. Bottom edge looks good. Bottom corners look good to me. Surface got a 9. Yeah, I'm seeing some scratches here, but those are probably on the holder, on the slab, but I'm not 100% certain. Yeah, I mean, listen, not a bad copy at all if you're okay with the centering. And I'll say one thing about a 7 subgrade for centering. I'd much rather it be because of the vertical centering than the horizontal centering. So I'm okay with this card in this grade. And, for $280 plus buyer's premium, I think that's probably a very, very fair price. And then finally, the Joe Sakic BGS 9.5 O-Pee-Chee rookie. This card is not rare. This card is not scarce. This is probably the year of O-Pee-Chee that has the highest print run ever because they made vending cases this year. Lots of them. This is, again, the hobby was super hot when this set came out. And O-Pee-Chee went back to the press and printed a whole bunch more of these things that weren't pack pulled. They were vending cases so that card shops could build sets and sell singles to fill in people's sets. Nonetheless, it's a BGS 9.5. This is actually half a point away from being a 10. So this is the strongest 9.5 you can get. That's worth noting. Centering is like bang on, top and bottom, right to left. Surface is a 9, so maybe that's this right here. Maybe that's what brought it down. I'm not sure what that is. That might even just be in the design of the card. I can't see. Maybe is there a bit of a light fisheye right there, or right there? You've got something maybe minor to me. Now again, I don't know what the population is. Seth, do you happen to know the population of a BGS 9.5 Sakic rookie?
No, not off the top of my head here.
Okay.
Sadly, I didn't look that up.
No worry. Hey, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. I'm just going to turn it over to you on these 3 cards and get your comments on what you do know and your thoughts.
Yeah. So that 9, just a couple of points. If you are trying to look into getting the Steve Yzerman 9 there, the last 2 sales of it has been $500 US, and then about the same equivalent, 750 Canadian. Those were the last 2 sales that I saw. I might have missed some. And then, so I think it right now, last time I looked, it was at 420.
It's at 420, which is right around 500 with the buyer's premium. So it seems to be kind of in line with what you.
Yeah. So I think that's a fair price for that card. And then the Lemieux, I really like the look of it. I know the top edge isn't perfect, but overall, I loved just the look and how it presents. And I do agree with you I prefer my cards, if they are a bit off-centered, to be up and down instead of left to right off-centered.
Yeah. Anything else?
And this is a card I don't have in my collection, and it's a great card to add.
Which one?
Yeah, and the Sakic, sadly, I don't have a lot on it.
Which one do you not have in your collection? The Mario or the Sakic?
The Mario Lemieux.
Any comments on the Joe Sakic?
Other than the strong grade, nothing there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Good stuff. Good stuff, Seth. All right. Continuing on. So it'll be interesting to watch. We have the BGS 9.5 Sakic currently at $90, and we have the PSA 9 at $26. So those are some big differences right there. 1 hour time left to bid. What is 1 hour, 1 minute? This is something new that I didn't even notice until right now. 1 hour, 1 minute and 43 seconds. Bid needed to extend item. Oh, well, we'll see what happens after an hour. There seems like there might be something new in the structure of the auction here that I wasn't made aware of. But in any event, let's keep on going and continuing to look. So it'll be interesting to compare the PSA 9 Sakic to the BGS 9.5. Right now, the 9.5 is way out ahead. Another thing to consider, oftentimes you'll hear a lot of people say that any O-Pee-Chee card in a BGS holder is likely not pack pulled. This is a case where I don't believe that to be true. I think this is it might not be pack pulled, but I don't believe it's sheet cut, as we say. I believe this is probably from a vending case, which is, it should be a grayer area, just thinking of the way I think of things, but I'm okay with cards that came out of the vending cases, because the only difference was they came out of the manufacturing facility, in the same production year, but some were put into packs and some were put into vending cases. And the hobby has accepted vending case cards the same as they accept pack pulled cards. And I'm okay with that personally. Sheet cut is a whole different thing for me. I want my cards cut by the manufacturer, not by somebody else, personally. So we'll see what this PSA 9, again, not a rare card at all. Let's look at this card and see how it compares to the BGS copy. So right away, the centering left to right, Seth, you can see that, right? I mean, it's certainly off-centered left to right, and there's a bit of tilt. I seem to see that this border up here is narrower than this border down here. And I think it's narrower here than the border up here. Slight clockwise tilt, very slight, but I do believe it's there. Centering top to bottom is not perfect, but very good. Yeah, I mean, this is your PSA 9. You know, this is what a PSA 9 often is. This is what it is. So anyway, let's go on to these two cards here. Matt Sundin, guys. Now listen, these O-Pee-Chee Premier cards from 1990, these cards were the creme de la creme. This was the Grey Poupon in 1991 when it came out. It was the first really, like, it was O-Pee-Chee's answer to Upper Deck, who came out on a premium card stock and foil wrap. And all of a sudden, O-Pee-Chee said, well, time to up our game. We're going to come up with this Premier product. And the name lives on today. Upper Deck still uses the name Premier in products. So anyway, these are arguably their best rookie cards. And I say arguably because they were their best rookie cards until grading became so prevalent, and the graded populations of these likely exceed those of their Upper Deck rookies or their score rookies and even their pro set rookies. So consider it, but they are a nice card. They're probably the nicest if maybe Upper Deck would give it a run for its money back then, but still fun to look at. $31 right now on the Sundin, $35 on the Mike Modano. And again, these are both PSA 10s, as is the Sergei Fedorov, which back in 91, everybody, if you don't remember, you weren't there, this was the card. This was the Connor McDavid Young Guns. That's what this was. This was the Connor Bedard Young Guns that everyone is waiting for. This card was all the rage. I remember I worked at a card shop that year, and when this came out, my job was to sort this into sets. And 132 cards in the set, something like that. It was a nice, easy one to build sets from. I would open the packs, build sets for the guy who I worked for, and that was before I opened my own shop. So anyway, Seth, your thoughts on O-Pee-Chee Premier rookie cards from 1990?
I love the look of them. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but I love the look of them. And getting when COVID hit, the population just got so high that it sort of brought the value down on their PSA 10s. Yeah.
It's really a population thing, right? As the PSA 10 population explodes or exploded, the value just came down. It's simple supply and demand. And we talked about this last week, Josh Madigan and I, when we looked at the Martin Brodeur, Eric Lindros, and Yager score rookies that sell for less than the O-Pee-Chee Premier rookies, yet the population was like much lower. I forget the rate, but much lower rate population overall. So these are cards that, like, if you want Hall of Fame rookies, these are cards that you can get for cheap in a Gem Mint PSA 10 holder, if that's what you like. So have at her. This was interesting. Hey, Seth, this is a BGS 4 Alexander Ovechkin Young Gun. So surface is a 3. And this card on edges, look at these subgrades. Centering 9.5, corners 9, edges 5, surface 3. So let's just kind of zoom in and see edges. I don't see much wrong so far with the edges or the surface, but surface is so hard to assess from here. I don't see anything wrong really with the oh, here we go. Never mind. Look down here, guys. See this? This is like a push, like the card got pushed on the bottom there, and these are little wrinkles, a series of little wrinkles here. So that is likely what hit both, because it's on the surface and it's on the edge. So that is probably what brings this card down to a BGS 4. And I got to tell you, I like that this is only a 4. I think this is appropriately graded because of that. And so honestly, kudos to BGS for grading this one, I believe, to be properly from what I'm seeing. So now listen, you're going to get it at a discount. You should at least. And but you really have to decide, do you want a card with this on it? Let's see what the bidding's at right now. $410. I don't know what a BGS 9.5 goes for. Probably $3,000 to $4,000 right now. So you can maybe pick this up for 15% of the price. of a gem mint copy, all the power to you. I mean, this is a card for somebody out there. Obviously, it's already got bids at up to $410. And then we have a Carey Price 2012 Fleer Retro Precious Metal Gems Green, the PMG Green, numbered out of 10, BGS 8.5. Let's open this up, Seth. Take a look. Subgrades are fine. What you expect on a PMG. Edges and corners are an 8.5, surface 9, centering 9.5. That makes perfect sense to me. You know, the edges, you got some white, like minor white chipping here. I don't mind that on my PMGs. I'm okay with it. Another little chip right there. I'm okay. Chipping down the edge on the left edge here, more significant than the top half of the card is here at the bottom. Same with the right side. And then the bottom corners, the bottom edge all have some chipping. This bottom left corner you can see has a, some white showing for sure. Coming across the bottom, just a little bit of white on the bottom right corner, that edge there. So I think it's still appropriately graded. And listen, it's kind of what you get with PMGs from 2012, pretty much right in there. So I have no issue with that card. I don't want it personally. I'm not a Carey Price collector. While I am a PMG collector, this card will make somebody very happy, I'm sure. Seth, let's hear from you on these two.
Oh man, the Ovi, when I saw it, I just love this card because I actually own a copy that looks like this card. So it's not graded, but at the bottom, there is that wrinkle on it. And I've seen about a half a dozen cards like this, either online or in person. So some people believe that this might be actually a printing or not a cutting error. But I think it's a great discount card. And pick it up if you don't mind it being a 4, if you don't mind that issue. And then the Carey Price, I love PMGs. And the quality of the card looks really good for a PMG, in my opinion. And yes, you have to take the chipping on the edge. But just to give you a quick point is they don't come around very often. So his blue PMG sold last month, I believe, for $76 US. And that was a PSA 7. And then his red sold for $76 US on May 15th. And that was in a PSA 5 or sorry, PSA 8. Sorry.
Those were both Carey Price, just not the greens?
Yes. Yeah. Blue and red.
Yeah. And nice to know, but greens are on there, as we know. And the data is great, Seth. Thank you for bringing it. The green does stand alone, kind of as the king of the mountain sort of thing when it comes to PMG. So, but yeah, we're at $600 right now, which is $720 with buyer's premium. So it's already 10 times basically what those numbers you just quoted, and that makes sense because it is the green version. We're going to take a look at some comments here before we continue on. And by the way, I'm gonna put a link again to the auction in case anybody wants to link right over. So I just put it in the chat. You can click on it. It'll take you right to just the hockey auctions this week. And if you want to bid or just go look, you can do that right now. But do it on another screen or another phone so you don't have to leave us because we enjoy having you here. All right, let's go to some comments that have come in. Let's see, where did we leave off? Todd McDonald talking about the Joe Sakic BGS 9.5 says there's 430 of them in the population. That's not as big a number as I thought it was going to be. He could have told me it was 1,500 and I would have believed him, but he says it's 430. So I think that's good news for that card in my mind, just because of the amount out there. The PSA 9 and 10 pops would be interesting to know as well. Thank you, Mike from Eastridge, for letting me know that the timer is just a little glitchy tonight. Larry says that PSA 9 Sakic is an old holder. Not sure it gets a 9 now. Talking about this one, yeah, I mean that the comment that it's an old holder, not sure it gets a grade again today is a very important comment. and I said it on a show I did last night, that I don't think that the standards have changed at PSA. I think the adherence to the standards is what kind of moves in cycles over time. So always best to look at the card. Just look at the card. That's the most important thing for sure when you're making these decisions. Name says those O-Pee-Chee Premier rookies are still great to have in a collection. 100% agree. Good evening, Professor. Thank you for coming. Chris Macri is winning the Ovi right now. Shh, sorry, I only saw the shh after I read your winning part, Chris. Welcome. Monkey Mooney says, curious about your time working at the card shop and assembling those O-Pee-Chee Premier sets at that time. Was purchasing entire sets a big thing? And do you remember what those Premier sets went for? Yes, buying sets back in the early 90s was a big thing. Even when I had my own card shop, we had complete sets of O-Pee-Chee hockey running back to 1980. And they would sell pretty much within a day or two of putting them out. And then the new products too. Yeah, people were buying complete sets, and they would buy a binder and a box of pages and go home and put them away. That was common. I don't remember what the sets were selling for though, Monkey Mooney. I'm sorry, I just don't remember. But I think the book value back then on the Jagger and the Fedorov was probably like $50. The Jagger was probably 30. Medano was probably 30. Sundin, Roenick. It's a loaded set. Decoy Card says food for thought on the Ovi or modern cards graded 5 or less. They're probably rarer than any grades above it. It needs a pop count note, only one lower. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I've seen other people make comments like that, Decoy. Like, oh, this is the only PSA 2 Ovechkin Young Gun. That doesn't help it that it's the only one. It's still a 2. Like rare grade, low grade to me is kind of silly. Todd McDonald says 28 10s, and he's talking about BGS 10s there, because I know there's a lot more PSA 10s for the Sakic. That's BGS 10. There's 28 of them. Thank you, Todd McDonald. Okay, let's continue the next row now, Seth. Ooh, we have a PMG Sidney Crosby. This is the blue out of 50. It's in a BGS 8.5 holder, and I own a copy. I have one of the 50, so there's only 49 out there floating around. This pop one of 3. I love the card. And I think I have the whole, I have all 3. I have the red. Do I have all 3? I have the green. I think I have all 3 Crosby PMGs, all 3 colors. So the rainbow, as you would say. But let's take a look at this. We need to take a look at the PMG and just see. So surface 9, centering 9, edges 8, corners 8.5. Again, you expect edges and corners to be the lower subgrades. Consistent chipping across the top. I love to see that. Same with the left side. Same with the bottom. Ooh, this is pretty nasty right here. That's a little bit nasty. You can see a bit of the blue foil kind of flipped up and is sitting up here. I think that's the bottom. You see what happened here, Seth? What I think, let me just zoom in a bit. What I think is going on here, you guys, is that I think this here is displaced from down here, flipped up. So you're seeing the bottom of it. So if the grader or the submitter would have taken their finger and just kind of done that and laid it flat, we might not know that that was there. In a way, it's kind of cool that you do know that that is happening and that is there. Come across the bottom, significant chipping right here. I would say this is worse than we saw on the Carey Price. I'm pretty confident in that. Centering, I don't know. Centering on these is tough to tell. Maybe it does look a little bit situated to the right, but not something that would really bother me. What bothers me about this copy, obviously, is this area here and this bottom right corner. Let's just go back over here for a second and see what's going on the edge. I don't know what that is. I don't think that's just simple fray. I think that might be I don't know what that is. Is that part of the surface that is kind of just hanging on there? Would you tweeze that off, anybody? I don't know. I don't think I would tweeze it off, but it's certainly, I'd almost rather that fall off than still be there, whatever that is. This I would keep as is, or prefer it the way it is. And then this left edge, certainly some issues there. So let's go back to the main page, though. Let's just stop right here, Seth. Your thoughts on the Crosby blue PMG?
I took a look, and it's just hard to find these cards. So I really love these cards because they're hard to find. They look great. The overall design is really good. you brought up some really good points on the edges, and that's would be my concern to put this card in my collection, is just the edges are not how I like them. I really like the prices edges, or preferred them over the Crosby, but given any chance to add this card to your collection, I think as a collector, it's a great card. It's one of those I don't want to say must have, but if you're a PMG or a Crosby collector, it's a very beautiful card to have in your collection.
So I do have a copy of this card. I just pulled it up, and I'm going to show you guys my copy for a moment. So let me just do the solo layout for a second. Again, keep in mind when I show you my copy, keep in mind this is graded an 8.5, and these edging issues and this bottom corner here. So here's my copy, and again, it's just a picture on the phone, but if you can see that, and it's graded a PSA 8, so it's lower grade than this BGS copy, but it shows no signs of that edging and corner issues. Like, again, hard to see, but like, oh, hold on. There's the corner on mine. There's the edge. So you know, oh, that's nice and clear. You know, there's some chipping there, but not like we're seeing on that BGS 8.5 copy. So I think, like, comparatively speaking, I think that this copy here is overgraded. I think that the edges and the corners at 8, like that, I don't know how that got an 8.5 corners with that corner there. I really don't know. I think that's more like a 6 for corners. I think it's grossly overgraded, to be honest. So, but this is a card where I don't even care about that. Like Seth was saying, if you are a PMG collector, a Crosby collector, a rare insert collector, this is an important card. And it sometimes just comes down to owning the card, but bid accordingly. I mean, don't pay for the, you know, you may not have a choice because they come up so infrequently, but, you know, don't value this as much as you would a stronger card in a lower grade, I guess. But again, you're not going to have a lot of chances to find this card. So it's one of those, maybe just grab it when you can and take what you can get, sort of thing. All right, Seth, this was your favorite card in the auction. So I'll just say what it is and turn it right over to you. This is a 2013 Panini Prism Alexander Ovechkin autograph. It's a PSA 9 mint condition card. Pop 3, 1 higher, 20 made. Only 20 copies made. I didn't even know that till I just saw that right now, Seth. So tell us about it, Seth. This is this is your favorite card in the auction. Go to town, buddy.
Okay, so yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty good card, or showing of this card. Only 20 made, so anything that short print getting a 9 or higher in modern cards, I feel like it's a good representation of the card. So and you, in this case, there's only 110 out there, so go ahead, go bid on it. You're not going to find anything that looks better unless you get really lucky. So I think the centering is just a hair off. If you could zoom in there.
Are you talking side to side or top to bottom? Top to bottom looks a little high.
Yeah, top to bottom, I was going to say.
Yeah.
So
this,
just
like Seth, very quickly, the width of this gap right here from the edge to the top of the Prism logo to this width here, that's where I would go. Ooh, this autograph has some scratches through it, I'm seeing right now, so we have to consider that. But I think that's how I would measure the centering. Or is it this width over here, which is a lot wider, to this down here? I don't know. It does look, it's this narrow border right here. And again, only this section of it that makes me feel like the card is off center top to bottom. But again, it's in a 9 holder, so I'm 9, you know, PSA has loose standards for centering for a 9. So I think it's okay. I think it fits within their standards. But sorry, please continue.
Yeah, so I was going to mention the auto. So there's a reason why they didn't grade the auto. In this case, you can tell that it got smudged or scratched, probably in the shipping process. And so just be aware of that. It's happens on his cards. I've seen a number of his cards get smudged. So I don't know if that's just the way he signs it and stacks them too quickly or whatever. But again, it's one of those cards that is almost a unicorn. You almost never see them come up. And it's in my opinion, they only made 2 years of Prism hockey, and it's really hard to find his autographs on these cards.
Yeah, you make good points again. It's one of those cards where you buy it when you see it because they only made 20. There's only 4 in a PSA 9 holder or stronger. I don't know the undergrades or the BGS populations, or even the tag populations for that matter at this point. But this is one of those cards where, like you said, it's a unicorn. And Prism, the 2-year Prism is a whole entity in and of itself now, right? It's a lot of IP associated with that brand. So, but that autograph is something to really consider. And again, you know, I see a lot of basketball collectors, not really, and not only even some hockey collectors. When you get faded autos on cards, some people just, they don't care. They want that card, even if it's got fade. Personally, I don't want a card with a faded auto. I would either just rather not have it or wait for a card with a better auto. So like this copy, even if I really wanted this card, I would not buy this card for my collection. I do not like this auto. I would never be able to look at this card and be happy with that auto. Now, unless I was a super Ovechkin collector and I needed it, then I wouldn't care. And I probably do. There's a card that I could think of that I would buy that would be like this for one of my collections, but nothing comes to mind right now. So maybe not. In any event, it's going to make somebody happy. We know that. Fill a hole for $1,250 already, which is about $1,400 with buyer's premium. So good luck to the bidders on this one. And we have a Nathan MacKinnon PSA 10 Young Gun. This is the corrected version, not the print defect version, which refers to in this area on the shoulder right here that I'm circling. You'll see many copies where this maroon part of the jersey is like pink, and it's just a printing defect. And Upper Deck back in the day in 2014 would let you redeem one of the defect copies and then give you an improved copy. And this is an improved copy, and this is certainly the copy that if I was a Young Gun collector that I would want in my collection. I would not want that pink defect copy. It's a bit of an eyesore to me. I'm glad this one doesn't have it. But this is a PSA 10, and you know, again, this is a commodity card. It's a liquid card. It's the Young Guns. Seth, I'm guessing you have some information. I'll ask you to talk about what you know. I'm going to look up the population of this while you say what you have to say, please.
Yeah, so for the MacKinnon PSA 10, prices are all over the place because of that defect or that printing error. So just be careful when you're looking to purchase a card like this. You'll see prices all over the place, some as low as $300 US. But that normally means there's that printing error. So when I was looking at comps, it's a very fluid card. So I'm seeing prices of $445 US, $480 US, right in that price range, and many sales right in between there for copies that do not have the pink as a lot of people label it.
So that I'm a little surprised that you're seeing comps so high, because this is already at $720 with the buyer's premium. So this is already, it seems like, about double what you are seeing. I'm going to do a quick check myself and just see if I can find anything, because I got to admit I'm a little surprised, and maybe it's just a good night for this card on the PWCC platform. That could be it too. But I'm going to just take a look and see if I can find MacKinnon Young Gun PSA 10. No, I mean, I'm seeing, $496 is the most recent sale that I'm seeing here. Where do I find more? Hold on a sec. Here we go. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it looks like you're right. I'm not distinguishing between, but this card seems to already be selling sold. Now this is sold. This is sold now for $720, and that's a significant premium over recent comps, which I don't see anything that's sold over $496. But again, $550 back at the end of May. So these sell regularly, but somebody did definitely pay a premium tonight on this card. All right. Well, congratulations to the seller. 3 cards now that have sold right here. The McDavid Upper Deck Premier. I said they're still using that Premier word. Upper Deck Premier sold for $33,480 out of $199 with a 1-color patch. A very nice auto, BGS 8. And 2 Young Guns. One did 25.20 PSA 10. The other one did 26.40 PSA 10. So somebody got one for $120 cheaper, but maybe they just preferred this. Maybe this card was nicer, and we'd have to dive in to see them. I'm gonna take a gamble here, and let me see how best to do this. Actually, what I'm gonna do is go over here. I'm gonna go over here, and we're gonna see, Seth. I don't want to click over here because we're gonna lose stuff. Let's go back to the top. Let's go back to the top and see what is sold. So someone just put in a bid on this Bobby Hull. This one is still going. This Gordie Howe sold for $576. The Bobby Hull 1961 did $900. Second year Bobby Orr PSA 8.5. I consider this a weak 8.5. Did $38.40. Eyes Shut Bobby Orr did $103. The PSA 5.5 Topps Gretzky $1,020. The PSA 8, which I think we said was a weaker 8, did $4,200. And the very strong 8.5 Topps Gretzky did not. I think that's a steal, to be honest. I think that's I think 25% of a PSA 9 for this card. I think somebody is going to be, I wish I bought this and would sell my 9. Like I missed out on doing that. Somebody got a steal here. Congratulations. The Yzerman PSA 9 did $504. The Lemieux BGS 7.5 did $348. 200 on the 9.5 Sakic, which is still going. Meanwhile, this really weak PSA 9 Sakic did $32. Sundin PSA 10 O-Pee-Chee Premier 37. The Medano still alive at 37. The Fedorov sold for 55. 492 for the Ovechkin Young Gun, Seth, with the damage along the bottom. 780 on the Carey Price PMG Green. Sydney is still alive here at 14.25, as is Alex Ovechkin. And the as we just saw, that sold for $720. So now I'm going to click on here, but there might be nothing there if those 3 cards have sold that were originally on the page. Hopefully they're still alive. Oh, it's showing them to me anyway. Oh, good. They're still here. They're still showing. Wonderful. Okay. Well, another Ovechkin, McDavid Young Gun did $26.40. I'm sorry these have all sold. We didn't get to them if anyone was interested, but this was the rest. These were the rest of the cards that we were going to look at. So we'll just run through them just to show you guys what cards I wanted to look at tonight that I found interesting and I thought you guys would find interesting. Austin Matthews SP Authentic PSA 9 sold for $31.20. That seems like a strong price to me, but I could be wrong on that. That seems high, but maybe not. His Young Gun PSA 10 does $810. Those have come down from their like $1,600 to $1,800 level a year ago. I love this card. Tribute Cup RPA Connor McDavid out of 10 did $25.20 raw copy. This is a big card. Matthews, is this a buy? Yeah, the buyback auto out of 34. Like that's a pretty special card because this is how you can really differentiate a high pop Young Gun from the rest of them. Is do a buyback, have the player autograph 34 of them to the jersey number. Like that's a great card. This is the Young Gun that stands apart in my opinion. Then we had a Cale Makar Upper Deck Canvas 9.5 rookie auto out of 25 from Clear Cut did $1,020. So pretty cool right there. Jack Hughes PSA 10 Young Gun does $312. Kirill Kaprizov exquisite RPA at a 97 does $720. I think that's less than Troy Iverson paid for his PSA 10 Young Gun. Again, Troy, it's just love you, buddy. You know that. Then we have a 2020 Metal Universe Connor McDavid PMG Green PSA 8 did $2,520. Nice to see that. Not my favorite PMG design. Don't hate it, but not my favorite. But nice to see it getting, $2,500. Jake Ottinger, my favorite young goalie in the NHL. BGS 6.5 Cup RPA out of 249 does $168. A nice low grade, right, Seth, for one of these? Like, it's probably, listen, I don't know why it's graded so low. Did I just open that? What happened? Let's close these off for a second. We're going to open that up. We're going to open that up for a second here and just take a look and see if we can find why it graded so low. Like, is there corners? There might be something. No, I think that's in the design. Yeah, it must be something on the back or on the side, because from the front, there's some edge issue there. I don't know if that's surface issue. That's probably the BGS slab. Their slab quality isn't the best. So anyway, that card did $168. Josh Norris Cup RPA BGS 7.5 does $192. Kaprizov Young Gun PSA 10 does $186. This was an interesting card. Hey Seth, the Austin Matthews picks, but this is the Spectrum version out of 25. Only $57. I mean, I don't know. Listen, hold on. Let's go back down. I did the wrong thing. I just want to kind of poke fun at this card. You're only getting about half a card here, right? Like, maybe, what are you getting? 40% of a card overall. And look how the BGS slab has this ridge here and this ridge here that are serving absolutely no purpose right now. No purpose. That can't be good for this card. Like, that banging into there, I don't know if I like that at all. But nonetheless, the card's only out of 20. The pick, there's only 25 of them. Austin Matthews for $57. I certainly endorse that purchase and congratulate the winner right there. And then finally, we have a Connor Bedard Team Canada auto patch out of 125. Yeah, out of 125 in a PSA 7 holder. And this card sold for $1,500. Connor Bedard Mania is strong. You do see some corner issue there, right edge issue there. Corner down there. Again, this card had to travel, but it was a sticker auto, so it didn't have to travel to the player at least. And I don't know. The grade doesn't really bother me on this card. $1,500. Congratulations to the winner on that. Seth, I went through a lot there. Did anything stick out to you that you'd like to mention?
As a musician, I love the pick. Honestly, I like really good job on the design, in my opinion, for the Upper Deck team there. But yeah, $57. Really, congrats to the winner. The way it's in the holder, I agree with you. I thought it was weirdly placed, and I personally would crack it, but again, because I would just keep it in my collection. But great card. Also, I just wanted to touch on Troy's dream card there, that the Kaprizov there. Yes.
This one.
That's a beautiful card. I know the sticker auto probably doesn't help it, but really beautiful card, nice patch. And I'm just a big fan of good auto too, but a big fan of the design of the exquisite cards. So really congrats to the winner, because I feel like it might have gone a little bit lower than I expected.
Yeah, I agree with you. First of all, I do love the design. I've always preferred the design since they started of the exquisite RPAs versus the cup RPAs. I just think the exquisite, you get a bigger patch. And you mentioned the sticker auto. Kaprizov is one of, I think, 2 or 3 players that are all stickers. So it's the only option, unfortunately. It's the same thing with his cup RPA. It's stickered as well. So just the way all of the cards that came out of the cup are stickers for him and Sorokin, maybe 1 or 2 other players. I'm not exactly sure, but that's your only option when it comes to a high-end Kaprizov RPA. And you mentioned that you would, and I didn't even think to say it, but I would crack this out right away if I had this card, because I don't know. I would crack it out, and then so the professor asked a great question. And I was just thinking about that professor. He says, after cracking the Matthews pick card, what would you have done next? So great question. I'm not exactly sure. Like, I just don't like it in that holder, all lopsided. It looks clumsy. It looks unsafe. It's just, it's just reckless almost. So I don't know. The first thing I would do, Professor, this is what I do with all my raw cards. Penny sleeve, top loader, sleeve. So 3 layers of protection, pretty much waterproofs it, not perfectly, but you know what I mean? Like, it seals a lot of the water out. Not that I'm dipping my cards in water, but if something were to happen. But I also like my top loaders to stay clean. I like my cards to stay clean. That's what I would have done with it, Professor. What would you have done? Would you have played with this card, Seth? Played the guitar with it?
I would have sent it to Mitch. He can definitely play the guitar better than me. So I would get him to do a nice video like he's done a few videos before.
So you would get a custom song played with your brand new Austin Matthews Pick Spectrum out of 25 that would otherwise grade a 9.5 by BGS. Larry's Classic Sports Card says, got the weak PSA Sakic. I was comparing about, can't find too many Sakics here in Colorado. Well, congratulations, Larry. I mean, it's a nice ad for you. And, you heard what we had to say about it. So I'm sure you made a very informed decision. Coming back to the first page here, I don't know why Ovechkin's sitting on top here, but let's see. So now it's 17.75. This is a $12.50, I think, when we started looking at it. So there's a bit of a bidding war going on this card as we speak. Coming down, everything else seems to have been sold. Yeah, pretty much. There's those $32, Larry. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong at that price. The Sydney is now sold for $17.10, which I think is appropriate. I wouldn't sell my blue copy and my PSA 8. I wouldn't even sell for double that. But I love my cards, and they're really not for sale. So that might be why. But it's also a nicer copy. Everything else looks to be sold here. So let's see. Only thing alive on this page is the Ovechkin. So I'm going to do this now, Seth. We're going to go to what is still, how do I only see what is active? We got my favorites. One lost out bid, high bidder. Oh, another bid just came in on the Ovechkin. So there is a bidding war going on there. But otherwise, it looks like every other card that we were watching, let's go back to page 2 again, seems to have been sold, unless there's something still lingering over here. Sold, 3 have sold, those have sold, and so everything is sold except the Ovechkin. Everything except the Ovechkin. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's some really nice cards this week. There were only 197 hockey cards this week. Last week, I think it was 303. Was it 312? Yeah, 312 the week before. So came down by about 40% or so. But the ratio of cards that I was interested in was higher this week than last week, and that's what makes it fun, especially like this card here. You had said that PSA 5s were selling for about $42.50. I think this card was a steal tonight. I think somebody got a steal on this because, again, if you are savvy enough to look past the grading company and look at the card, this was stronger than some PSA 7s that are out there, but it sold for a fraction of the price. So somebody got a steal. As my friend Maddie C says, pound for pound, this was a great value. And I think the same can be said for this Gretzky here. Like, oh my gosh, this was a steal tonight at 9,600, in my opinion. Seth, we're going to wrap this up. What are your closing comments? Anything that really stuck out or anything you want to say? Floor is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess one card I just wanted to take a quick look at, if you still can, is that Gretzky buyback out of 2 autograph. I thought that was a really interesting card.
Did I not have that? Did that not make it into our viewing here?
I think it was on page 2.
Oh, I must have. Oh, right here. So I don't even know how. I must have gone right by this and gone straight to the Matthews here when we were looking. I'm sorry, I totally missed this card. Yeah. What do you want to say about that?
I just love the buybacks, and when you get a card, and it might come back to my childhood when I pulled a buyback card out of a normal O-Pee-Chee pack, and it's so cool to see. Yeah, I got this card. It got bought back, got signed, and just something this limited on a base card, clean design from SPA, and it's just a clean autograph. I think if you can add a card like this into your collection, it's just something unique that not many people will have.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with your final comment there for sure. I'm going to nitpick something here, and this is not nitpicking you. You said it has a very clean design. It does. I love SPA with all the white. It's a clean design. Now you can see that he fades from top to bottom. He fades, I think, so they could make the autograph. No, this was a buyback, so that has nothing to do with the autograph. So it's a clean design, but it's a little bare in this whole bottom section. Without the autograph, there's really nothing there. Now, unless, Seth, was this card made for buybacks, or was this a buyback that was then numbered? Do you know? Like, was this
Not
a base
sure.
card that was then? Do you know the answer to that?
No, I don't. I'm wondering if the back of the card would tell you.
Yeah, I'm opening it up. Let's go have a look and see if it tells us anything more about this card. I have another bone to pick with this card, which I will in a moment. So we can't even see this. Is this certificate the back of the card, or is this a separate card within the holder? I think this is actually the back of the card, right? I think that's the back of the card. But then why do they have the hologram on it? I don't think this is the back of the card. I think this was a base card. No, this is a certificate that is stuck into the holder with the card itself. So there's two within this one touch. There are two cards. One is the Gretzky card. The other is the certificate card. This I believe was a base card bought back, autographed twice, and packed out in a buyback product. Now, which the design, it's clean. It's almost too clean for me, Seth. But my real nitpick with this, and I wonder if anyone else is thinking what I'm thinking here. Any guesses, Seth? Any guess what really bothers me about the card design?
The white jersey?
Nope. I'm going to show you. This right here. The name Gretzky overlaps the word new in New York, and the word Rangers is over the word York. Like, that's a design flaw. That might be a printing error, a design, whatever it is. That should not happen. That's bogus, right? Am I right? Like, is that bogus, or is that a design flaw? What happened there?
Sadly, I don't know this set very well, so I think it is a design flaw, in my opinion, but it could be a complete printing error. But why would they buy that one back?
Yeah. I don't know what happened there, but listen, it's the only time I've ever seen something like that on an SP Authentic card ever. So it is what it is. It happened once, and hopefully not again. Despite all that, kind of a minor quabble, not the hugest issue. You have a beautiful autograph here, a Gretzky auto. I think that's what is selling this card, not where the words are overlapping each other. And this card did sell for $1,020 tonight. Let's check in on the Ovechkin one more time, see if it's ended yet. The 2013 Prism Ovechkin out of 20. 30. If there is not a bid in the next 30 seconds, this card will sell for $1,825 plus $365. What's that? Like $2,190, something like that. So we'll see if 20 seconds for this card to totally end, and that would end the auction for the cards that we were looking at tonight. And then we'll wrap up the show. We're right on track with where we usually are. Seth, you have fun tonight doing this with me in Josh Madigan's place?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a blast. Thank you so much. I had so much fun researching the cards, looking at the cards, especially learning more about some of these cards. A great mix of vintage and modern cards this week.
Yeah, for sure. $21.90. No more bids. That card is now sold, which is, I think it's a good sale for that card for me, especially with the autograph the way all scratched up the way it was. Seth, hey man, listen, your first time on one of these with me, filling in for the awesome Josh Madigan, who's my usual partner. He took it off for the weekend. So Seth, you did a great, man, you killed it tonight. Honestly, thank you so much. You were great. I hope to the chat, hope you guys enjoyed it tonight. I certainly did. It was fun doing it with you, Seth. Thank you to the chat for your comments. Name's right on there. Great job, Seth. Thank you, Name. Appreciate that. Give Seth a round of applause, everybody, please. He really did a great job tonight, and he did his research. He put in the work ahead, which I think is really stand up, man. So thanks again, Seth. Follow Seth on Instagram, everybody. You can see it under his name at Drop the Puck Cards. If you're not yet following Seth, please make sure to give him a follow. And I'll be back on Tuesday on the channel taking stock with Dennis Zender. Plan is to be taking stock of group breaking. Yeah, group breaking. That's what we're planning to take stock of on Tuesday night. Basement Breaks says just popped in for 5 minutes and a card purchase. Seth was awesome from what I saw. Thank you, Basement Breaks, for dropping by, and congrats on buying a card. That's awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great week ahead. Hopefully we'll see you Tuesday on Taking Stock. If not, enjoy the week. Happy 4th of July to everyone in the U.S. Stay safe. Be good. Have a great week, everybody.